Hey everyone, welcome to Yellow Jacket Garage. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. What we're going to do today is we had a very special guest show up at the house, the FedEx truck. Anytime the FedEx truck shows up, if you're a car guy, you know that's a good thing. Chances are it's not going to be a bad day. Anyway, what I've decided to do is I saw these on sale. I've seen plenty of unboxing videos and stuff from them as well. But I wanted to try and see if I could do what works for me, because I've never touched one of these before. I've seen them online, I've read about them, I've heard about them, all that stuff. People that I know that have got them have said that they're great, but I personally never used one, and until today had never laid my hands on one personally. What is it I'm talking about? Well, here's what we're talking about. We have a brand new Quickjack BL5000SLX. I got the Quickjack on sale because Home Depot was offering or advertising them as a special buy, and so I figured, you know, no time like the present. They normally are about $1,500. I got this one for just a little bit over $1,000, so saved about $450, somewhere in that neighborhood. I went ahead and ordered the pinch weld blocks too, so I've got pretty much what I need, I think. So what I want to do today is I want to go ahead and do my own unboxing with them and see how it all works out. Everybody says they're easy to put together. I kind of agree with them by watching the other videos that I've seen, but this is my perspective because I've never seen one before today. As I said, certainly have never put one together and have never done any of that stuff with it. So my thought was, let me give it a shot and see what how easy it is or how difficult it is, and once I get it figured out and put together, then you'll see how well it worked for me or didn't. So the upside is that Quickjack they have tech support that's available, so you can call them or email them or whatever and get answers to your questions. The only thing that the kit does not come with is the automatic transmission fluid or the hydraulic fluid that you'll use in the pump itself. So I went ahead and picked some of that up at the grocery store. As you can see over there in the black bottle on the right hand side of the screen. Oh, and just a quick shout out to, that's the Yellow Jacket, so that's the name of Yellow Jacket Garage. So I've had the car for a few years now and really enjoy it. What more can be said? I'll talk a little bit more about it later if my vlogs turn out to be something that people want to hear or see. Then I'll discuss it and talk about what has been done to the car, what I've done to it, and all that happy stuff. So anyway, let's get on to this portion of it. So what I'm going to probably do is go just to not much audio until I get it all torn apart. As you can see that one of the rails is already out. I do want to give a big shout out to Quickjack because when I unboxed it, and as you'll see as I take the other rail out, this thing is wrapped in styrofoam and plywood. It's a thin, like a 1/8 inch plywood covering, well wrapped, well packaged. I didn't have any concerns with it because, you know, when it came off the truck, it was really looked great. I mean, the other box had a couple of rips and tears in it, but that's to be expected. These things get manhandled while they're sitting around, but it showed up in great shape, and so that's where we're going to go from here. So next you see is going to be taking it apart, opening it up, and seeing how it all works. Welcome back. Basically what I've got here, the other box has not been unboxed yet. The first one that we talked about earlier has. So what we're going to do is we go ahead and unbox the second rail so you can kind of see what it looks like. We've got the fan running in the background, so if there's noise from it, I do apologize. It's 100 degrees outside, and I shut the air conditioning off here in the garage, so try to do just a little bit to stay cool. So get the straps out of the way. Like I was saying before, very impressed with the packaging. I mean, it came in relatively unscathed. came in via FedEx. The nice thing about it is I ordered it online. Or actually, my wife ordered it online through the Home Depot website. And what I'm assuming happens is that when they get a sale on one of them, they go ahead and basically the order goes back through Home Depot to Venpac or Quickjack, and away it goes. So anyway, there's the top piece right here I was talking about earlier. It looks like about a 1/4 inch piece of plywood that's inside. More of the banding. Suppose I probably could have gotten a pair of pliers to cut this, but good old Winchester lock blade knife. A good friend of mine gave me that several years ago, and been carrying it around ever since. So, thanks, Dave. There's the top piece of that plywood. Here's the manual. And from what I gather, there's another manual in the other box that has the pump and stuff in it. If you notice, I used an old box. I set the old box on the floor right here because, you know, I'm no spring chicken anymore. And so being down on a hard concrete floor on my knees is just not all that comfortable. So if any of y'all are going to do something like this and you need a little bit of help, don't be afraid to put down some old cardboard. Keep your knees kind of appreciate you. One of the handles. And this one, looking through it, I see, again, no damage. So let me see if I can yank this thing out of here. Trying to remember which one it is. One of the ends of this has little wheels underneath it, so if you need to roll around the floor, it makes it a little bit easier. This end here has the wheels on it. There's the other ramp. Get all the pieces over here out of the way. All right. And from initial inspection, everything looks fantastic. So, I haven't opened up the instructions yet. I'll set the oil over here, out of the way. Each of the rails do have a little bit of weight to them. I'm not exactly sure what they weigh, probably 40, 50 pounds a piece, something like that. So they will take a little bit of effort to move them around the garage. I've seen where some people have stored them underneath the center of their car. My concern is, as low as my car is, hopefully they won't get in the way, because I'd hate to get one of the lines pinched or something along those lines, or get the whole thing stuck underneath the car. All right. Let me move the camera over here so we can see what's going on. All right. Get this in front of the camera so you can see it. This is one of the blocks that sits in the rails. There's should be 4 of these size, and then grab those. Get those out of the way. Should be 4 that are this one. They're a little bit thinner. Try to get that in there so you can see it. We'll put the 2 side by side, and so taller, shorter. So there are a full set of the taller ones, 4 of the tall ones, and should be 4 of the short ones, at least from what I'm told. Okay, here's the long hoses. We'll go through those here in a little bit and see where they go. Set those aside. And there are the short hoses. Again, we'll set those aside and figure out where they go. This is, and if you watch any of the videos about this, these are the fittings. The fitting pack. It looks to me like some things have already been installed, because there's a couple of things that aren't in here, and it actually looks like maybe they're in there. I don't know. We'll figure it out once we get out the instructions. But the quick disconnects, I think those 2 go to the pump. These go to the other end of it. Those go onto each of the rails that go to the hydraulic rams, and then in there with the quick disconnects, there's a couple of rubber bushings. I don't know what they go to, and one of the videos I watched before about this, he didn't know what they went to either. And so then some Teflon tape, or thread tape. There's another one of the short ones, another short one, and another short block. So yep, we've got all 8 of the blocks. Those blocks will sit in the rails, and they go underneath where your jacking points are for your car. We will go over that, I think. Okay, let me try to get this thing out of here. Here's the power unit. I am missing one of these caps. Fell off. It didn't fall off. It broke off. So that should be fun. We're going to have to figure out how to. Okay, I can twist it with my thumb. Let me turn this around so we can see what happened. You can see there's 2 of them. This one here and this one up here. This one here broke off, and the other piece of it is down in there. So, but like I said, I am able to twist it with my thumb. So that explains why there's oil all over inside this bag too. So let's just hope that that doesn't have any negative consequences when it comes to putting this thing together. Now this one has the orange handle. So I heard something about the orange handled ones were made in China and they may not be the best. And then there's apparently a yellow handled one that's made somewhere else. So great, we've got the orange one. But most important thing is to remember that from everything that I've heard and read, Benpack and Quickjack is a good company. They stand behind their product, so we'll believe that. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the camera for a minute and dig out the instructions, and we'll go from there with it. Okay, welcome back. We're going to start with the first of these fittings. The first one they're talking about in here, in the assembly manual, or portion of the manual, is to go ahead and use these elbow fittings. And then they're going to go right into here. Let's see if I can turn the camera just a smidge without tipping it over. So we can actually kind of try to look directly at what I'm doing, which of course not. So move things around just a smidge. Okay. Anyway, this is the fitting right here. We're going to go ahead and pull that out. And we're going to take the one with the O-ring and the nut on it. And this has a compression nut, so it'll tighten down once we get that in there. So we're going to go ahead and thread that one in. Theoretically. Oh, let me do this beforehand. There is a little bit of oil and stuff in there. And I want to put just a little bit of lubrication on that O-ring before I thread it in there. So that'll be basically that. And we want to have it at about the 10 o'clock. And so we're not at the 10 o'clock. And so that's about the 10 o'clock position right about there. There's 9, 10. About right there. And so we want to go ahead and since we have that one there, we'll go ahead and snug it down. So we'll get the right wrench here. Of course not. We'll go ahead and leave that little cap on there for protection until we get there, because okay, snug down, looks good, looks nice and snug the way it ought to be. So I think we're good there. I do have a couple of those great Scott shop towels. Of course, Scott didn't endorse me, so I'm just paying their price for them. Alright, so we've got that one in there. I'm going to shut the camera off, do the other side real quick, and then we'll pop back and do what we got to do to this valve, or this ram and stuff here. Okay, so what's next is we're going to go ahead and prepare the short hoses. They come with a zip tie on there holding them together, so we'll pull that zip tie off. They do have these wires that are on here too. I'm going to go ahead and take those off. And there, and this one here. I don't know why I didn't just clip them with the snips that I've got right there in my hand. Okay. Now we're going to use thread seal tape on the male end. Of course, it'd be the male end because I don't know how that would work out trying to put this stuff on the female end. Would not be a good time. Okay. So what I like to do with this, with the thread tape, is wrap it the direction that it'll go when it's turning, so that it doesn't wad up the thread tape, as it turns in clockwise, and so I wrap it to where the tape stays tight when it turns in clockwise. And since I dropped the roll of tape, that's going to be a fun one to mess with. Okay, that's good for that one. Piece of tape right there, get it out of the way, and then there we go. Just kind of clipped off the side of it a little bit to give me a little bit of a flat spot to use my fingers to unwrap it. Come on. And there's one revolution. They're saying 2 to 3, but I think the most important thing is to make sure you don't get any of the thread tape over the end of the orifice there, because that'll block off the fluid. So pretty sure if you're putting one of these together and you wind up having it not pumping fluid and you don't know why, pull those hoses back off and see if you don't have a little bit of the thread tape wrapped around the end of it. Okay. Alright, let me put a couple things together and I'll be right back. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and use the male quick connect with the female end, short hose, and we're going to go ahead and thread this bad boy on there. And where did I put Of course, I'm not sure where I put it. It's hiding up here. I got an 8-inch crescent. I'm hoping that's big enough. If not, I'll go get a bigger crescent. Yep, sure enough it is. Okay. It says 18 to 25 foot-pounds, so that's probably pretty close to that. What's the old saying? Make sure it's farmer tight. So I'm going to do this one out here also. And it certainly looks like it's hitting some of that thread tape, which that's what we want it to do. I'm going to say that's probably tight enough. Yep. And that's good for that. Good for that. Okay. We got those. And now, these short hoses are going to go onto the hydraulic rams. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this end of the fitting. I'm going to unthread that, And then we are going to thread that on there. It doesn't require tape because it's a tapered seat, so it's all good to go. Should be good there. And so use the right size wrench, and it says again that we're going to tighten it to 23 to 25 foot-pounds. Again, not quite farmer tight. So, alright, so that one is done. That hose is in, tied to the ram. Life is good. I'm going to go ahead and step away from the camera and do the other side. And because no sense in showing you both sides when they're being done, so I won't waste your time. And here we go, we'll be back in a few. Okay, we're back. What I've done is I've gone ahead and done the same thing on the other rail so that it's all there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do like the instructions say, and we're going to route this hose, and it says to route underneath there like that. And so it doesn't have any obstruction, nothing is sitting on it or anything else. And so I kind of think that's something we probably ought to make sure is that there's no pinches or anything on that hose, just to make sure that it stays open to the world so it doesn't wind up getting cut or anything like that. And that's one of the only reasons that I'm concerned about parking my car over this thing, is because the driver's side header is pretty low, and I think that that might be just a smidge too close to it. Now maybe I can kind of angle that down just a little bit more and it'd be okay, but I'm not sure about that. So I'm pretty sure I can kind of do whatever angle works best for me. So anyway, on to the next. What we're going to do now is we are going to do the long hoses, and the long hoses they're basically the same on both ends. So we will clip that. Again, I'm probably just going to do the one side, and come on, there we go. Okay, these got flat ends on them. They're not a tapered seat, so either side of them. See if I can get it without having to clip that thing. Yep, there it comes. So both of them are flat, no tapered seats on them. Let me move that around so that it can be seen on the camera better. So yeah, we'll use the thread seal tape on these. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video is I'm trying to kind of go just like it's working for me, because this is the first time that I've ever done this or messed with a Quickjack at all, and so I think that adds value to a video when you see it. If you've never done one before, it'd be easier for somebody to watch somebody else that's never done one before if you're going to be doing yours for the first time as well. So one wrap, two wrap, three wrap, same thing again. Hopefully this roll's got enough on it, because every time it seems like I bunch some of it up. So if we run out, you'll see. I do have more, so in case I do run out, it's not like it's going to be the end of the world. So that one's wrapped, both ends. I'm going to step away from the camera again so that I can do the other side, because again, no sense in showing it too much. Okay, we've got that part of it done. The hoses are wrapped. Oh, thought they were. Still missing that one. I don't know how I managed to do that. I did wrap one backwards, and so I had to pull it off, and so maybe I kind of did that one at the same time too. Instead of wrapping it clockwise, I wrapped it counterclockwise. But hey, it happens. Alright, there we go. So, now we have the female end, or female fitting going on the male end, onto that wonderfully wrapped pipe tape, the right direction. And I'm going to go ahead and to protect those so I don't sling that pipe tape around too much, I'll go ahead and start the other one on, and then I'll grab the other hose and start those two on also. So, like so. See, I did put those ones on off camera. Now, being that these are a hydraulic coupler that goes on here, I'm pretty impressed with how slick they are. That when they pop apart, you don't lose any fluid. At least that's what they tell me, and I have no reason to doubt them. All right, so now we're going to tighten them up, and I didn't look at the torque spec, but I'm gonna say they're probably the same. This is tighten them to 10 to 11 foot-pounds. Which is not a whole lot, honestly. So again, it tells you that probably about there. Doesn't need to be farmer tight. And for those of you that don't know what I mean by farmer tight, back in the day, when the farmers would come into the shop that my dad owned, invariably all the fittings on the tractors and stuff would be as tight as humanly possible. And that's what we call farmer tight. Just like farmer fixed. Because hey, when you're in the field, and whatever it is that you're doing needs to be expedient because you got stuff that you got to get done, well, you do the best you can with what you got available. And I do make light of the farmer tight and things like that, but if it wasn't for farmers, we'd starve to death. So we have to be thankful that we have the farmers that we have and the ranchers that we have. And really, if you think about it, us car enthusiasts are kind of farmers too, or ranchers, because we all worry about horsepower. Alright, so the long hoses are done, the short hoses are connected. I'm turning the page. I'm assuming that what we're going to do next, they want us to pressurize the air cylinders. This little air cylinder, let me see if I can get the camera on it. I don't know what the gimmick is here. Come on now. I should be right at it. I think I'm too far away. Okay, there we go. This little cylinder right here, you'll undo the cap on the end of it, and you'll need either a hand pump or you'll need a air compressor. A bunch of warning labels and everything else on there too that tell you danger, don't overinflate it. They're saying 50 psi is 50 psi. So I'm going to have to fire the compressor up here in just a couple of minutes, and so I'm going to go ahead and take a break from the camera while I get it ready to go, and then we'll come back and pressurize the cylinders. Okay, well, we're back. I went ahead and off camera, I went ahead and did the other rail, since it was over there on the other side, kind of out of the camera. I want to take a quick second. The pressure gauge that I've got is fully digital, made by Jayco products. And I tell you what, I made the mistake of early this year leaving the batteries in this one, and I had just bought it recently. Takes 2 AAA batteries. I left the batteries in there, and where I'm at, it's pretty humid, and so the humidity caused the batteries to corrode in there and ruined it. And so I was trying to get a new head unit, just the pressure piece, and I contacted Jayco and let them know that, hey, I screwed this thing up. It's my fault. I just need to buy this piece. And so Jayco said, well, what's your address? Let's see what we can do. And so I sent them my address, and a couple of days later, a whole brand new unit showed up. It was my fault. And so yeah, those guys really, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I'm just wanting to say that they stood behind their product even when it was my fault. So I really appreciate it, and I wanted to give them a shout out. So anyway, what we're going to do now is we are going to, that had air in it already, 70 something psi, so okay, I adjusted the tank on my compressor, so let me bump it up a little bit. I adjusted it so it was right at about 50 psi, so we're right on there now. Let me try that again. There we go again. This cylinder does not take a whole lot of air, so it's not like a tire. You're not going to be reefing on it a whole bunch to get it to take the pressure. 50 psi is what you want. Like I said, that one was 70 something psi from the factory, so kind of interesting. Hard to tell. Anyway, take that off of there, and because I learned my lesson the hard way, I make it a point to always pull the batteries out of this thing when I'm done with it. But where I live, I've learned the hard way that humidity kills, and so I take batteries out of just about everything when I'm done with it. So, all right, so that's where we're at now. Those are pressurized. All that stuff is done. Let me turn the camera a little bit, because I'm going to assume that probably what we're going to work on next is the power unit. So that's weird. And GoPro's making a bunch of flashy kind of colors. Let me take a break here, and I think I might need to let this camera cool down because it looks like it might be getting hot. I just replaced the battery, and the battery was pretty warm when I swapped it out. So, all right, let me take a break for a few minutes. Okay, so I went ahead and let the battery cool off for a couple of minutes. I think it's okay. I was correct. The next step in the instruction manual is to go ahead and take care of the power unit. So and just do a quick wipe down of the oil and stuff that leaked. So it was kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. I mean, it came in, at least it wasn't broken, but looks like the side of that power unit kind of took a shot. So anyway, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and put in the quick connects. They have the rubber O-ring on them, and so we're going to get a little bit of that lube. Oh, okay, well that one's broke too. Let's see. Hopefully this one is just as easy to get out. Yeah, it's coming out okay.
I don't think they're in there very tight to begin with, but tell you what, not a real big fan of having these pieces of plastic running around here though. So anyway, we take advantage of those oily fingers and put a little bit on there. So come on. Just a little tiny piece of plastic, and I don't want it anywhere in there to get done. Okay, so for the instructions, start with the one that's marked B, or the bottom one first, and that's so you can actually get to it. So now I can feel that the seal has already kind of got up there, and we'll go ahead and tighten that down. Go. Right. Grab this other one and see if I can find a little bit of oil to lubricate that too. Get that dude tightened down there. Grab the old adjustable end wrench, but oh, that's not even a, oh, it is a crescent. Okay, so you can say crescent wrench. My high school shop teacher was pretty big on making sure we called them an adjustable end wrench because the ones we had weren't made by Crescent Tools. And so that is it. They were an adjustable end wrench. So there's that. That's tightened down. And tell you what, as far as human beings go, my high school shop teacher, Mr. Gordon Black, probably one of the most caring teachers on the planet. And at the end of this last school year, he retired. So I want to wish him well in retirement. Doubt that he'll ever see the video, but if he does, anyway, hey Gordon, it was a pleasure being one of your students. It was a long time ago. All right, that's tightened down. That's all done. 11 to 12 foot-pounds. That's exactly what it was. Maybe a smidge more than that, but not by a whole lot. All right. Now what we're going to do is, I think this is the vent cap. I don't know exactly what size it is, but there's something about having this thing loose when you're running the pump, but only when it's level. This might not be a big enough wrench. So anyway, let's see here. We're talking about fluid reservoirs and all that good stuff. All right, let me grab that other wrench, and then we'll come back and figure out what we got to do with this power unit and get it ready to go. I think we're actually pretty darn close to hooking this thing up and actually cycling the rails to make sure they do what they're supposed to do. So, okay, so we're back. Went ahead and got a bigger crescent wrench, and it is a crescent, so there we go. Alright, so what we're doing now is we're going to go ahead and fill the power unit. Open this up. Don't see anything in there. I have a clean funnel. I wiped it out and made sure there's no dust or debris in there. We're going to pour in 2 quarts and then it says about 1.5 quarts or 2.5 quarts. So I'm going to pour in the 2 quarts and then measure out the 1/2 quart and figure it out. Hopefully, it says that the oil should be about 1/2 inch down from the opening on the neck, and it's going to use a little bit, of course, when it powers through. So we're going to add a little bit more fluid after we charge all the lines. So there's one. I thought about doing the little count voice from Sesame Street, but I hate to have my first ever YouTube video demonetized because I made a sound that was not something that I should have. I am holding it a little bit over to the side just to make sure that the fluid goes in without gurgling back out. I did see where, oops, well that's a problem. It said 2.5, so I'm going to leave this thing plugged in here. Wrap this paper towel around it, and then use this other paper towel and try to wick out some of that fluid because it overfilled. Oops. And instead of wicking it out, you know what it did? It just pushed it right back out the side. So. All right, went and grabbed some more blue towels. So what I did was made the mistake of trusting whatever it was that was said, that, oh yeah, no big deal. Pour the first one in, pour the second one in, and you'll have plenty of room for the third one. Well, not exactly. So, all right, it is right up to the top. What I'm going to do is, okay, that one's empty. Toss that bottle over there and take a quick break. Okay, what we did is, I don't know if you can see it or not right here, but that fill hole, it's right up to the top. I normally keep some of these syringes around. You can use them for detail paint if you're putting them into like lettering and stuff on a flat surface. Suck a little bit of paint up in there and drop it down into where the channels are. Different things like that. Having these around the shop are a fantastic thing to keep. You can get them at like Tractor Supply or any of the farm supply stores. Sometimes you can get a box of them for just a few bucks. They come in all kinds of different sizes, but this just happens to be the only size I have. And so what I'm going to do, draw the fluid up and draw out until it's about 1/2 inch down below the hole. Now a cheap turkey baster or something like that will work too. I don't happen to have a cheap turkey baster in the shop. So we'll make a few passes with a small syringe. Now somewhere I do have some bigger ones, but the bigger ones that I have are not used, but they have a purpose already, and I use those for doing the clutch fluid Ranger method on my Corvette, so, which is maybe a good idea for some future content, but we'll see. Okay, I got it down. It's roughly 1/2 inch or so below. And as soon as the pump runs anyway, it's going to fill the hoses and everything else up, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of room in there. So we're done with that part of it. Let's set this to the side because that's going to be a mess for a cleanup here before too much longer. And we'll put the cap back on it. Cap has no ring on it, so we know that we should be good for that. Now, I think kind of keeping this thing on a level surface is what they're after when it's sitting like this. So put that there, and one more towel to wipe up the mess. Now, the other day I was changing the oil in my truck and didn't have the drain pan right where it should have been, and I'm sure everybody's done that before, but you know, quart of oil out in the middle of the driveway. Actually, I had the truck pulled into the garage right here, so every time I walk out here I see the stain after I cleaned it up, and wiped it up, cleaned it up, got it good, and then sprayed it down with some brake clean and cleaned the concrete up again, and it turned out okay. So, all right, so what I'm going to do here is take a quick look, see what our next step is. It's talking about the breather valve, the reservoir cap and breather valve. That's that little thing there. So let's go through what it says. It says that we have a self-venting reservoir cap, so that means I'll just kind of snug that back down to where it was. Shouldn't have screwed with it. Should have read the instructions beforehand. So all right. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and connect all the hydraulic hoses. So I'm going to take a break, move stuff around so that I have it in kind of how it's supposed to be in the right position, and when we come back we'll fire this thing up and see if it works. Okay, we're back. I did do a little bit of cleanup, a little bit of rearranging and putting stuff kind of in a little bit better location. So I've got the two of them side by side now. And we're going to go straight into what the book says. It says connect all hydraulic hoses. So try to do this without getting them all screwed up. So, okay. Should be just as simple as pushing them together. Wow, how about that? And it is just that simple. I have not plugged the power unit in yet. I kind of was waiting to do that until the last minute. Hopefully you can hear me all right. The camera is a little ways away. I don't have the microphone because my microphone is a wired mic and it's just a smidge too far away to be able to hook up. So, all right. Pop that one off. And that one. So all the hoses are hooked up, so theoretically it should work. We'll go ahead and grab a bit of power. And we are plugged in. Okay, hose is connected. Final checklist. You can harm the motor by running it without enough fluid. We know that it's got enough fluid in it. So only raise it to the first position. Don't raise it all the way up unless there's some weight on it. Otherwise, it'll mess up from what they say. So plugged in. The moment of truth. They do say it'll take a minute to pump fluid through it, so that's kind of what we're going through now. Oh, we got noise. Hey. They did say that that herky-jerky motion the first few times is normal. Okay, we should be there. I'm going to lock it. Alright. Okay, that one wants to go. We'll do that, and then I'm going to reset the cams. And go back down with it. There we go. Set the instructions down. Let them go all the way back to the floor. Well, I can hear that bleed-off valve letting go, so that's a good thing. That means that it's bleeding air out of it. I didn't read that you're supposed to do that anywhere, so probably not supposed to, but all right. Well, that was a little bit better that time. To the lock. Well, that one didn't lock. We'll figure it out though. Run it through a few more cycles and see where it goes. From what I was reading and watching, this is perfectly normal. So, I'm going to run it through a few more cycles and get it to operate the way it should, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, so here's where we're at. I've cycled it through several times. It's pretty smooth. It still probably needs a little bit of a bleed, but here goes. They come up pretty even. The one on my right makes a little bit of noise in the ram, so I think it probably just needs to be bled a few more times and figure that out. It comes up a little bit faster and it goes down a little bit faster. But it probably needs a little bit of maybe some lubrication somewhere along the pivot points and whatnot. Plus, it's not sitting on the concrete surface; it's sitting on the cardboard. So, with a little bit of use, I think it'll probably get itself to right where it needs to be. So, cycles through pretty fast. I'll figure out what it is according to the instructions. The troubleshooting, you need to do a little bit of bleeding if they don't come down even. So I'm going to try to do a little bit more of that, but for all intents and purposes, it is set up. They are about where they need to be, and I think I'm happy with it. Once I get them to go up and down evenly, I can still hear a little bit of air bleeding off over here, and so that's what makes me think that it probably just needs to be a little bit more air cleared out of it. But, so that is that. Turn this up a little bit so you can. Okay, so basically that's a wrap for the video. Just going to do the editing, put it all together, and see how it turns out. I thank you all for bearing with me and kind of walking through this whole process with me. A little bit hot in the garage. I had to shut the AC off, so I'm sweating pretty good. It's probably still 95 degrees outside, and it's 9:45 at night. So I'm about ready to be done. Happy to have this all together. Look forward to another video on how they work. Show you some videos with the car up in the air, and got some tire work to do and different things like that. So again, I appreciate y'all watching. If you like what I'm doing so far, then hit the subscribe button. Hard telling what the content's going to be. I'm going to try to come up with all kinds of different stuff. Hopefully it'll be things that are of interest, car shows and different things. So anyway, if you like the video, hit like. If you want to watch more, hit subscribe. I'll do my best. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.